I was called to do ayahuasca in the process of a long journey to relieve myself of psycho-pharmacological medication that I'd been on for over a dozen years. When I tried to leave those behind, it was very difficult. A lot of anxiety, severe depression, and a sense that I was blocked up and that I couldn't move forward. I had tried another plant medicine called iboga or ibogaine, and that gave me sort of a taste of where I thought plant medicines could take me. And a friend who had also done ibogaine mentioned ayahuasca, and I really hadn't heard of it. This was about a year and a half ago. And after researching it obsessively for 3 days, I found Nimea Kaya and booked one of their retreats last January of 2014. Did 4 ceremonies there in January and radically transformed my perception of myself. I accepted so many things. I unblocked so many things. I understood so much. I understood myself so much better, and I understood my limitations and my fears so much better. I'm not gonna wax poetic about how the juice tastes or that all the experiences are blissful and hearts and flowers, because one of my ceremonies was frankly terrifying. And but what the medicine showed me, what the Madrecita brought me, and what I understood from her was that that I could overcome that. But there was another side, that I would eventually always return to a stable state and an almost fearless state. The sense of empowerment after that terrifying, let's say, ceremony was beyond anything I had felt in my life up to that point. And I was at that time I was 52 years old. And I went away from the retreat knowing that I had more work to do, which I ended up doing in the US several months later. And also I knew that I would come back to Peru to work with the medicine here. But I always knew that I would continue to learn and continue to experience just new ways of loving myself and being confident and addressing fear, which is always going to be there, but I found ways to sort of render it ineffective or make fear and anxiety something that just didn't last, and that I could be aware of the exact opposite emotions and feelings that would always come back to me. As I've told Jill and Casey probably more than once, I'm not a very spiritual person. I don't consider myself a New Age thinker. I haven't read a lot of the books and the prophecies, and I'm sort of a born skeptic. But I was thankful that I'm pragmatic and relentless. And I've searched long and hard for something like this, like ayahuasca. But given the skepticism and the non-spiritual aspect of my makeup, this is an exception. I have come to accept and believe that ayahuasca and the Madrecita, that this plant medicine, unlike anything non-human, is the only thing that I can attribute a consciousness to. She knows that everybody has different issues, and everyone's got problems that they bring and different reasons that they're called to the medicine. And she works with each person individually. And honestly, 2 years ago, or even in in the time prior to stopping psychopharmacological medications, I think if you would ask me whether I would refer to a plant with a personal pronoun, I think that would have been something I would have laughed at and shaken off. But I'm unashamed to call this plant she, and to accept her into my life and to continue to work with her in ceremony and well beyond. One of the more interesting aspects of the medicine is that I've discovered that it never stops working, and she's never far away from me. Even in my most fearful moments in my second ceremony, she was there, and when I finally cooled down, it seemed like it took, an hour, but it probably took about 3 minutes. I learned more in those 3 minutes than I had in maybe a dozen years of medication, 10 years of talk therapy. I just came to realize that I didn't have anything to be afraid of. I would never take a psychopharmacological medication again, and that if I ever needed help, she would be there for me.